listening to Diminishing Returns, the podcast about sequels, prequels, spin-offs and reboots. I'm Chris Scott, and across from me, the man that needs a smoke, even though he knows it's bad for him, and it doesn't make him look good. It's Mr. Alan Johnson, everybody!
How do, pod people?
You're lax, Sergeant. This ain't about me and you. Not yet.
My shit's on pause, huh?
Yeah, our shit's on pause.
A siege can be a perfect scenario for a low-budget filmmaker. One location and a limited cast, usually a small band of bedraggled souls, thrown together by circumstance as they fend off wave after wave of attackers, whether they be Zulus, terrorists, cowboys, vampires, skinheads or zombies. While struggles internal and external threaten our ragtag group as they battle to save their respective Alamo. The setting would prove perfect for recent USC graduate John Carpenter's second feature, where he would riff on Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo and George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. In effect, Carpenter would create a high-tension western set in a contemporary Los Angeles ghetto. The 1976 film Assault on Precinct 13 saw a faceless gang terrorise a near-deserted police station in revenge for the slaying of one of their number. It plays like a tightening coil, slowly ratcheting the tension until the explosive climax. Critical reaction to the film would follow the same pattern, released in the US to mild reception, with later European festival showings seeing it embraced by audiences and critics alike, before it was reappraised stateside, in time becoming a hugely influential, if cult, property. Almost 30 years later, a remake would restage the action in a near-deserted snowbound Detroit police station. This time round, an army of rogue cops lay siege to get to a crime lord who has unexpectedly found himself in Precinct 13. So, does Jean-Francois Richet's remake, with its hefty budget, large all-star cast and heavy-handed plotting, measure up to John Carpenter's suspenseful original, made on a shoestring budget, as a statement of intent hinting at what was soon to come in the director's career?
Yeah, so first things first, have I, the millions of times I've seen this film, never noticed that it's not actually Precinct 13? Because I'm watching Assault on Precinct 13, the original, and it's the highway patrol guy who's going to be Bishop, who's going to be stationed at the police station. They literally say about 3 or 4 times in a row something like, it's Precinct 9, District 13.
When they get to the police building, it's got a big sign outside that literally says Precinct 14.
And it's Precinct 14.
According to the sign at the front door, yeah.
But I think they say,
They do call it 13 on some radio chatter.
Yeah, but it's still District 13, right?
Yeah.
Well, then the film should be called Assault on District 13.
Yes.
Or Assault on Precinct 9. Now, I know that doesn't sound as good.
No.
Is this like they filmed the whole fucking film and then afterwards he was like, I should have called it 13. Fuck that in the poster, no one will care.
It is exactly that situation. John Carpenter wrote the film, originally called it The Siege, then it was called Anderson Alamo because it's in the Anderson division. And then Irwin Yablans, who plays a big part in John Carpenter's career, like going forward, he got the film and was like, no, this is an exploitation movie, we need an exploitation title.
It's a cool title. I mean, don't get me wrong, Assault on Precinct 13 is cool. 13 is unlucky, right?
Yep.
Assault, bang, and Precinct's a nice, sharp-sounding word.
It is a brilliant title. Sells everything right up front.
Yeah.
Let's ignore it going forward, but yes, you're totally correct.
Good. Like, I don't know how I must have just forgot a lot. Yeah, so the original, John Carpenter, I think we've discussed it before in passing when we've been talking about other John Carpenter stuff. What a film.
Yeah.
Like, a grade A classic for me, just despite its low budget, despite the fact that some of them aren't maybe great actors, I actually love all of their performances in this. The tension of it, the brutality of it, some of the coolest characters. Like, you want these people that are being assaulted in Precinct 13 to survive because they're all cool as fuck. They're all badasses in their own way.
Everyone that comes into it, you really hope, or everyone from the good guy side.
Yeah,
you really
like,
hope
what's that on? You really hope the guy that killed the kids, he comes out of this, you monster.
Frank Doubleday, who you might recognise from Escape from New York, kills that kid.
I mean, we have to talk about the kid killing because this is one of the best moments in cinema for me, right? When I first saw this, I was maybe like 11 or some shit, right?
Okay.
And you know, at that point, this may surprise a lot of you, right? But at that point, I was maybe somebody that sat indoors a lot and watched a lot of films on TV, right? I know you're probably thinking, but Chris, now you're like an international playboy. I know, guys, but you know, I came from humble beginnings like the rest of you fucking civilians. It's just that through my own talent, I'm better than you. But even at that age, you knew that there are rules in film. And the rules in films are always like, the dog survives, the child survives, it's Chekhov's kid. These sort of unwritten rules of drama. And like the end of the first act, pretty much, of this film, John Carpenter just has some guy coldly turn around, doesn't even care, doesn't blink, and just shoot a kid straight in the fucking dish. Like, are you shitting me? It's brutal. Even now, even though I know it's happening, the way it's so coldly done. And when I was 11, basically the rest of that film, I'm going, all bets are off, guys. You know, at this point now, you've just said to me, this is a real tough world where anything's gonna happen. And as 11-year-old me was like, fuck yeah, let's strap in and see what the fuck's going on. Only thing that can make this better is if, I don't know, there's going to be like a biracial team up of two cool dudes with great character names. Well, that's right. That's exactly what we get, guys. What a fucking film this is.
Yeah, the child killing comes at a weird point because the movie has these sort of like 3 or 4 little story strands going. You know, you see Bishop on his way to work. You see the gang roving around
His
town.
first day at work as well, the
his
new job.
Well,
Brilliant.
yeah, and it's the first day in this new gig you've got, but break you an easy. Have an easy shift. You're going to go over to this other police station, which is shutting down. You're just going to babysit that building while they wait for the power to be cut off in the morning.
We're putting the new guy into the easiest shift in the world. What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
Brilliant.
That's great. So he's on his way to work. You've got the gang who are roving around on a sort of like blood revenge because some of their number have been killed by the cops.
What's the gang called again?
The Street Thunder. It's like a Bruce Springsteen inspired gang name.
It's great. And like all film gangs, again, they're like multiracial. As far as I'm aware, most American gangs of the 70s were pretty strictly along like racial lines. But Street Thunder, hey, they might kill kids, but they're not racists.
No,
they're progressive child killers, right? They're the sort of child killers that they're like woke child killers, right? And that's what I think we can all appreciate about Street Thunder,
They
right?
look pretty
They're woke.
broy. There's not a lot of ladies there. But yeah, so you've got these different strands going on. So by the time you see the father and his daughter driving around and you're like, how are these people going to crash into either the roving gang or the police? Where are they going to tie things up? And it gets to this ice cream van as the little girl goes for a cone. And like you say, yeah, just coldly blown away.
If you haven't seen this film, I mean, I think if you like this podcast, you're probably going to have seen this. But if this is just one of those films that have passed you by, like films have even passed me by, and let's just say, I'm probably one of the top 2 film critics in this room. Watch it. The way that sequence is filmed is so tense, and it builds up and plays with your expectations. Like, even though it's not flashy, but it's just done so fucking well, and you watch it, you can see how not long after this, he makes Halloween. It's a guy who understands how to build tension, where the camera should be placed, how like you see what's happening. That's why at this point in his career, for about a wee sort of 4 or 5 film run probably, he was fucking great because he made these cool cult films that were so well made, you know, and had a real point of view about them, not without their flaws, but his personality and his love of what he loves about films just shines through it. And I know it's just maybe a slightly strange sentence to say, but the bit where they kill that fucking kid is a great example of what a great filmmaker he is.
It's the flashpoint for the goings on the movie
which dates it, because now if you kill a kid in America, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Apparently
it's
so.
like you can kill a fucking school full of them. But back in the 70s, you know, it was a big
meant
deal.
Something. Things would change as a result of an incident like that.
That's it.
Not these days.
Nah, we're better than that now.
So the father of the little girl chases down the gang, kills the gang members that have just slain his daughter, and that kicks on the plot. He hides in the police station, which is shutting down, and then the gang just encircle that and lay siege to it over that evening. And then,
that's just a police station that, because of a sick prisoner, a prisoner transport has had to also stop there and bring in a bunch of prisoners. So you've got the secretary stuck at the police station. You've got a bishop who's looking after the police station. Like one other random cop, a bunch of prisoners, and then this guy who's just like murdered the gang member.
He then, from the rest of the film, is just catatonic. He's not even a presence in the film. He's just a sort of...
He's had a busy day.
Okay.
His child's been shot in the face, and he's murdered a gang member. And he's done a bit of running away from some gang members as well. So, you know what? If anyone in that film needs a nap, it's that guy. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like...
All right, he gets a pass for the rest of the movie.
Just you get your jammies on and have a wee rest. We'll rest rest of the cast will get on with it. So, because of these confluences of events, which, again, in the tradition of all the best genre movies, it doesn't matter.
No.
Not really. Why does it matter that they're a police station? Because it's going to be cool, guys.
Yep.
That's the whole reason for this.
It's a great thing because obviously, like, at the time this movie was made, you know, gangs and street punks and the youth were seen as a threat, like a real threat to the establishment. So,
unlike you fucking lazy snowflake millennials, I don't think any of you could even try and kill a kid. You'll be too busy writing a blog. Too busy to take a selfie rather than, like, shoot up a police station. Fucking bitches.
And so the youth are seen as being the enemy, and the police station obviously is seen as being a real, like, sanctuary for people. Like, it is meant to be safe. You go there because that's where you're going to be served and protected.
But that's the thing, right? So we've now got everything here, and what we've really got is there's three main characters in the original, right? There is Napoleon Wilson. Let's be clear, his character name's Napoleon Wilson, which is cool. And his real name's Darwin Justin. Like, all right, I guess we're just fucking, this guy's just like a magnet for cool names. Fair dues, right? And then there's Bishop, who we've already mentioned, who's the
Austin Stoker.
Again, cool ass names, these people. And the secretary Lee, who's played by Laurie Strode.
Laurie Zimmer. But I can see why you get
Laurie
mixed
Strode's
up.
fucking the character name in
Yes, and also the telephone operator is played by Nancy Loomis, who plays Annie Brackett in Halloween.
So there's a lot of Halloween shit
so
if you're nerds like me and
and-
Alan.
Yeah.
But basically, three main characters, which is Napoleon, Bishop, and Lee.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ancillary characters. There's the telephone operator woman.
Yeah.
And there's like a big black prisoner dude who's cool as fuck.
But that's Tony Button, who you'll know from the first 6 Rocky films.
Oh, is that guy? I thought I
Former
recognised
professional
him.
boxer,
Yeah, I thought I recognised
Tony
him,
Button.
Right. But
Yeah.
he's just like...
But he's totally badass.
Yeah.
Like, this guy could make it out.
Yeah, because he's a fucking badass. So this is what this film's great at, right? We've got three main characters, all just cool as fuck. I mean, the line from Bishop when Lee goes to make him a coffee, and she's like, black, and he's like, for over 30 years. Come on! I mean, that's a good joke. You know what I mean? I was like, lovely, love it. But whenever they're talking to each other, they're vibing off each other. They're great. As we've said, even these wee ancillary characters, you're like, yeah, put them in a scene with any other character, it's gonna be cool as fuck. But what's brilliant about it is that we're just dropping in on this day in their lives. There's no big exposition. Napoleon, we don't know about his fucking childhood.
We don't know why he's even in chains on a prison transfer. But he's obviously some kind of like criminal of note. People seem to know who he is.
But that's it. Just nobody knows what he's in for, right? And the thing is that the hero cop, the kind of Gary Cooper, has to work with this criminal to help save everybody. And these two guys are just fucking great together, right?
Absolutely brilliant.
And it's this whole film is just bared down to this is what you need. We're not giving you any extra shit. We're just going to inject this real fucking tense, cool, badass, fun shit right into your veins, and you're going to love it. It's fucking fantastic. So let's compare that to the 2005
yep.
Assault on Precinct 13, where it's 20 minutes longer or something, 25 minutes longer.
Yep.
Which I think is almost all taken up with extraneous bullshit. I don't need to know about fucking these characters that they think we better give fucking convict number 3 some sort of backstory. I don't give a fuck. It's a classic thing of where somebody's went, well, what we need to do is make sure they all have their own motivations and blah, 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 blah. They can all have other motivations, but you can just show us that you literally don't have to have every character tell the other characters exactly who they are and why they've got OCD or why they're a fucking junkie or whatever. It's all far too much. They're really clever in the remake because what they do is make this wonderful decision to make the black guy the criminal. Well done, guys. Well fucking done there. You know, the switcheroo that Carpenter made, smart. In the 70s, it's a black guy go back to a kind of ghetto neighborhood, but he's the hero, you know, that's fucking cool. Now what they've done is went, who should we have as the hero? Could we get somebody that just screams 90s Generation X? Yeah, let's do that. So it's fucking Ethan Hawke, a man whose face doesn't make sense unless he's wearing a 90s t-shirt over a long-sleeved t-shirt. He is the embodiment of like 1995 as a human being. Like when he walks down the street, I bet all you hear is doop 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 doop, because he's just like, he cannot exist outside. Like I actually quite like him as an actor, but I just kind of feel like he should be talking to Winona Ryder about, I don't know, Soundgarden the whole time. So he's playing a hard-boiled cop who had a drug bust go wrong, and now he's been sort of stuck looking after this old precinct. Now, he does what he can with it, right? But I will say, if you are going to have a badass villain and it's got to be somebody cool, they've actually made a pretty good casting decision. I'll give them that.
Yeah, the always reliable Laurence Fishburne.
What a fucking actor.
Always brings a bit of heft to a role.
He's got that sonorous voice, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's just like authoritative.
His career, to see him go from that skinny teenage
streak
kid
of piss.
from
Yeah, from
Apocalypse
Apocalypse
Now,
Now, yeah.
through The Matrix, up to Hannibal now, I guess, is the
it's
most
great.
recent thing of
Hannibal.
note he's done. He's a solid guy to have in your cast.
He's great. I think he's charismatic. And so he plays like a criminal mastermind, which is obviously the kind of analogue to Napoleon Wilson from the first film. Whereas Napoleon Wilson was like, we didn't know what his crimes were, right? And so when he's the classic kind of criminal, but he has some sort of code, you know, he can't leave these people behind and stuff like that. That's really cool. And what this film does is try to subvert that by being like, no, this guy's like a murderer. He's a piece of shit murderer. And they show you how badass he is because he keeps saying when they're under siege at the precinct, he keeps saying, I'll help you out here, but then I'm gone because I'm a pure badass murderer, right?
Our shit's on pause.
Yeah,
That's the phrase that keeps coming up.
If I was a filmmaker, as we've discussed, my many spec scripts have gone unproduced. Say it once, or even better, don't say it. As you said before, fucking show it. Just be like, what, you know, when it's done, and then he goes, yeah, I'm a bit of a rascal. We'd be like, oh, fuck, yeah, of course he's a criminal. Instead, all he's done is go to Ethan Hawke, like, listen, let me be very clear.
Yeah.
As soon as we're out of the siege, I'm done. And then the film seems to, like, at the end, spoiler alert, when the siege is over and he's like, yeah, I'm out of here. It seems to be like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Like, he fucking told me 8 times. Of course he's fucking out of there.
Whereas the fun in the first one is from the get-go, Bishop gives Napoleon a little bit of respect. He's not snide towards him the way the other kind of authoritarian figures we see in the movie up to that point are. And then so when the shit hits the fan and they have to work together, they have to trust each other because of the situation around them. And their interplay is really good. And it all harks back to that sort of like Western tradition that, because this Assault is basically a remake of Rio Bravo, the Howard Hawks Western. So it's deeply indebted to that cowboy style. Everyone's got a code. Both Wilson and Bishop line up to those kind of archetypes, you know, a black hat and a white hat having to work together, all that jazz.
That might sound like cliches, but the reason those are cliches is because they work so well. Like, that's why they've been in so many films, because they fucking work. Whereas, do you know what doesn't work so well? John Leguizamo. In this film as prisoner number 5 or whatever the fuck.
Conspiracy theorist.
Jesus
on
Christ.
The commentary they say that he'd like developed this big backstory that he was actually like a promising law student. He was going to be a lawyer, but like, you know, due to the pressures of study, got hooked on speed. That's why he's this like motor mouth freak. But the Leguizamo character, this sort of like fast talking annoyance, and it's really difficult to get on board with anyone. When you watch a movie and there are characters that have behavioural tics that annoy you, it's really hard to be on their side.
He's like a junkie Leo Getz from Lethal Weapon. Hi, it's me, Chris, the sexier half of Diminishing Returns podcast. As always, you've heard a little jingle and you hear me interrupt your show. It means you know that I'm about to advertise some shit. I have 2 shows at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival 2019. If you're listening to this in the future, after March of 2019, too late. But if you're listening to this near the time of release, I have 2 shows at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival. The first one, I'm part of a showcase of Scottish stand-up called 3 Men and a Tall Lady at the Iron Horse Pub on the 23rd of March at 4:30. It's a Saturday, so that has me, who you know is hilarious, and a bunch of other cool stand-ups, including a finalist in the Scottish Comedian of the Year competition. So not only is it me who's brilliant, but there's one other person who's actually amazing. Find out which one's which if you come to that show. 3 Men and a Tall Lady is a show that we've done for previous festivals. It always sells out, so if you do want to come, get your ticket from the Glasgow International Comedy Festival website. The other show that I'm doing is with my improv group, Improv Killed My Dog. We're doing a show called Magnum PI. This is one of the dumbest things we've ever done. We did it at the Fringe last year. It was really good fun. So we're basically doing an improvised episode of a show that I have never seen, Magnum PI, and that is on Friday the 29th of March at 7:15 at Yes Bar. Tickets for both shows are available from the Glasgow International Comedy Festival website. As you just Google Glasgow Comedy Festival, and that's 3 Men and a Tall Lady, which is a stand-up show, and Magnum PI, which is an improv show. If you're a fan of the show, come down and introduce yourself.
There's a lot of shit on the commentary for the 2005 version where they're like, oh, this is a nod to this movie, this is a nod to this movie. It's clearly made by people who love movies, but none of the references resonate for your casual viewer.
No.
Nobody's going to know that model of car is the kind of car that was used in Bullet unless you're a film obsessive.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to quickly catch the use of the name Napoleon as a code name
At the start,
at the very start.
Yeah, the start, because we get to see Ethan Hawke when he's an undercover cop and his code name's Napoleon, which is a little it's a little touch to the first film. That's really cool. Well done, lads. That's the least you could have done. So, the remake of I Saw on Precinct 13, it has bits, but it's actually all right. But there's just so many bits. I think they're adding depth. Like, oh, well, this is like a cool thing they didn't have in the original. And all they're doing is stripping away what made the original great. You know, Laurence Fishburne is cool as fuck and a badass. But he is the biggest criminal boss in Detroit or whatever the fuck it's set.
It's set in Detroit. Yeah, the original set in a sort of like South Central LA.
Yeah.
And now we're in Detroit, which in 2005 like is a city that's actually going through some real urban decay. Yeah. So it's a conceivable thing.
But it's like he's the worst
the crime boss of this.
Yeah, we literally see him kill a guy in a chapel. Yeah. You know what I mean? At the start of the film. While that could be interesting, I guess we're also meant to root for him in places.
Yeah, it's a weird shift that you're now meant to think that the bad guy's a cool guy.
Yeah, and he's a real bad guy, and they've made great pains to go like, oh no, he's murdered people. Whereas with Napoleon Wilson in the first film, maybe he has murdered people, but I don't know about it. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I eat meat, I'm sure this pig was brutally killed and it was unhygienic and there's shit in there I don't want to know, but I don't know about it. So this fucking bacon sandwich is amazing. Napoleon Wilson's a bacon sandwich. Amazing. And the character in the remake from Laurence Fishburne is if you could see all the pig's hoofs in your bacon sandwich. It's still all right, but too much has gone into this. Literally, Ethan Hawke comes into the precinct, at the start of the day, and there's like the lassie from The Sopranos plays the secretary, right?
Drea D'Amato.
Okay. And they literally have a conversation as he's walking in. She has a conversation with like one of the other cops and him, and it's just like, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, great. I really love bad guys. Oh man, I just fuck bad guys. And it's, oh Jesus, you're in The Sopranos, like one of the greatest sustained bits of dramatic writing that's ever been on TV or film. And now it's like, what's your character? She likes to fuck bad guys. Brilliant. Well done, everyone. And then Ethan Hawke's like, I got shot in the fucking leg or some shit when I was an undercover cop.
Yeah, during the narc bust that went wrong.
Yeah, you see him wake up in a bed with like the bottle of whiskey next to it, and he's like brushing his teeth, but he's drinking the whiskey. It's like, this is so fucking cliched, but not in a good way. Like that's like something out of like a Naked Gun spoof. Like that would be a funny scene in a MacGruber sequel or something. And then not only that, he has like a big conversation with his shrink because his shrink comes to the police station.
The amazing Maria Bello, wildly underserved in a movie like this.
Despite them giving her lots of scenes where she gets to be a terrible character. Like, it's like, if you must see the character fail and get shot and have his fellow officers die in this undercover drug bust, then we've seen that. We know that's a problem for him, and we know that he needs to redeem himself in his own eyes, and he's maybe a bit gun shy, but instead they bring in this shrink, and it's like, I think you feel you need to redeem yourself and you're a bit gun shy, and it's like, for fuck's sake, guys, don't need to fucking hear about everything. It's not lean, it's not propulsive. Some of these changes you go, I can see why they thought that would be cool, like making the cops the bad guys. So it's basically dirty cops that Laurence Fishburne's crime empire is in partnership with these dirty cops who come take him out and then take out any witnesses, which is going to be everybody in the building, right? Okay, except the minute you see those cops, they're obviously shitty, dirty cops, and then it plays it 10 minutes later that when you find out those cops are dirty, like you're meant to be like, oh, you're like, yeah, no, I've seen films. They're all dressed and act like dirty cops. Immediately you know that they're dirty cops.
Yeah, we just saw one of them punch a stranger in the face going up an escalator.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
The film is obviously made like kind of a slave to conventions of that time.
I'm a slave to the rhythm.
Maria Bello's character is there to be a sort of will they won't they love interest for Ethan Hawke's character, whereas in the original, like Austin Stoker isn't.
He's a cowboy. He's a fucking good guy cowboy.
And then the Drea D'Amato character
is I like a fucking that's basically her character.
Who's flirting with all the cops and the badder the better.
Honestly, broke my heart watching
in
that.
The original film, that's Laurie Zimmer, and there's a really nicely handled relationship forms between her and Napoleon Wilson. So much of it's said just in looks.
Yeah.
And she's so no nonsense as well. She's
Lee,
like,
the
secretary from the
original film, is a fucking great character. She's nobody's fool.
She gets shot and is loading a gun with one hand because like her other arm and she's useless because of a wound. Like, she is badass.
Yeah, she's fucking shooting motherfuckers. Do you know what I mean? Left, right, and centre. Like, if anything, I think she might be a bit kill crazy. Maybe this is fucking awakened some shit in her, you know? Again, there's a really nicely handled bit where there's like a scene relatively near the end as we're kind of going into the final sort of stretch of the original where, you know, Lee and Napoleon kind of have a little chat about something. In the original, it's like, why didn't you try and leave us? And he's like, you never leave a man behind that can't run.
Yeah.
And you also never leave. And he just looks at her.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, they're totally into each other, right?
Yep.
If this was the new film, it would be, Dad told me never to leave a man behind that can't run. And also, I'd really like to fuck your vagina with my penis because I like you. I mentioned my dad earlier. My dad used to beat me. He used to beat me with a rock. And ever since then, I've been a bad man. And like 20 minutes later, then something would happen.
Yeah.
And it would suck all the coolness out of it.
Like a joke, over-explaining the punchline.
Like just what I did there, just like overdoing it. Yeah, 100%. And that's the difference right there. And of course, that's the difference between cool and me rolling my eyes so hard I thought I was having a seizure. But I'm going to say one thing in its defense, this film.
Okay.
Once you actually get to the siege stuff happening, despite the writers and directors' best efforts to fuck it up, it's still pretty good. It's like, it's almost just having a siege and having shit happen. There's quite a cool bit where they don't trust each other. They kind of play up a bit more. Actually, there was a reasonably interesting diversion. Why I wouldn't say it was better than the original. The fact that there's a real distrust between them.
Yes.
That was a kind of, it's like adding a bit of Treasure Sierra Madre or something there. Do you know what I mean? I really quite like that. But once like motherfuckers are getting shot, I must admit I was like, well, this is alright.
Not to spoiler alert, give my feelings now, but it's a perfectly serviceable action film.
Which is of course the highest praise you can ever receive, because perfectly serviceable, that's the praise I get after I've made love to a beautiful woman. I'm like, was that okay for you? And she goes, that was perfectly serviceable. And I'm assuming that must mean that's the greatest praise you can get, right guys?
So this movie is like Chris's lovemaking.
Yeah, it's there. It's longer than it needs to be.
It runs over long.
But it's still a disappointing ending.
The ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty effective action movie, if not particularly memorable. It owes a lot to Die Hard, which, I mean, so many action films do. But it did make me think, wouldn't that be an interesting Die Hard? Bruce is defending a police station against attackers. That's an elevator pitch right there.
I went to see Die Hard, and we're digressing here, but fuck it, that's what you listen for. I went to see Die Hard in the cinema just before Christmas
time. Yeah,
it was great, obviously, but it was like really weird crowd reactions. People were clapping at weird moments and like cheering and stuff, but it was like not at the same time, which made it even better because it was really hilarious, you know? So yeah, Die Hard's a better film than Assault on Precinct 13 2005. So is Die Hard 2, so is Die Hard 3. Die Hard 4 is maybe the level we're at here, like, if I hadn't seen the earlier ones, this is alright. It's probably better than Die Hard 5 though.
Yeah.
Actual child murder's better than Die Hard 5.
So the other big change in content between the original and remake is that now we have Gabriel Byrne, who's leading the crew of rogue cops who are encircling this police station, who, for a gang of rogue cops, seem to have a pretty sizable budget for operations.
Yeah, like they have a helicopter at one point. Now, I'm no Detroit policeman, but surely there's like somebody going, guys, isn't there another helicopter meant to be sitting here? But I suppose
in this weather, because obviously it's set in New Year.
That might be the reason they're getting away. Like, it's like, guys, we need to have this back before the 2nd because like all policemen have got the day off for some reason. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. It's almost as if, hear me out, the filmmakers hadn't thought this through.
Yeah, it's weird. But the fact that we have someone like Gabriel Byrne and his crew doing this, it makes a big change, because the original film has effectively a faceless gang. We meet like 4 members of the gang. One of them is off by the catatonic father. So there's a couple of faces that pop up once or twice more.
But that's it, yeah.
But the gang are largely faceless. They don't have any dialogue. They don't speak. Whereas we spend a lot of time
and again,
behind enemy lines with the cops.
And this is
hearing them think out their plan.
This is not a good decision. That's part of the brilliance of the first one, is that it's just this faceless horde of child murdering baddens.
Which in large part comes from budgetary restrictions. John Carpenter has $100,000 to make Assault on Precinct 13. So like no money at all.
Can't even go back and refilm the bit where they say it's actually a Precinct 13.
Exactly. Can't just do the drop-in dialogue.
Yeah.
And he's doing everything on the movie. Him and Tommy Wallace and Deborah Hill is here as script supervisor, but John Carpenter, he's writing it, he's directing directing it, he's producing it. He even edits the film, but he edits the film as John T. Chance, which is John Wayne's character name from Rio Bravo.
Nice touch.
Everyone in the cast and crew in On Precinct 76 is doing everything. All the gang are just their pals from the USC, the film school that they went to. And so everything's on a shoestring. And hear me out, it makes it like Seinfeld's The Contest, because in The Contest they're not allowed to say jerking it. They can't have an overt reference to masturbation because it's network TV.
Yep.
And that restriction makes that joke about them not masturbating much, much funnier.
Yeah,
and
they
really,
have to work harder. Yeah.
And that's like Assault 76, because they're not allowed to do certain things because they don't have the budget. Whereas 2005, they've got this like 36 million budget, and that's 2005 money. So that's a sizable budget, and they're just throwing money at it. Like you say, helicopters flying in. It's set in New Year in Detroit, so there's snow everywhere. They're using every imaginable kind of snow for the movie. CGI, snow candles, fake foam, that nappy stuff that they use.
It's a lot of different types of snow you know about.
Yeah, with cinematic snow, there's a lot of different kinds.
I did not realise there was so much snow. I hope, dear listener, like myself, you feel that you've learned something today.
And so it's almost like the larger budget is a problem for the film, because they then are just like, well, we can do so much more, and it's almost making the masturbation jokes not as funny.
Yeah, and also like The Contest, I did jerk off to this film. Laurence Fishburne's a fucking ride, I'll admit it. But that's the thing. I believe it was David Byrne of Talking Heads who said that he believes that artists need to have restrictions. While all artists dream of being able to create free of restrictions, that is inevitably not their best work, because restrictions mean that they have to think harder and that they have to overcome things, and it makes them maybe go for the path less travelled.
Yeah, you've got to be creative with your solutions.
That's why the White Stripes are better than the Raconteurs.
Raconteurs have got a better drummer, but could whistle you far less of their songs.
Exactly, because they had to work harder in the White Stripes. So that's very true. But also, I think there is that dumb remake thing that I've seen a bunch of times in this podcast, where it's just like, well, we've got more money now, it's more modern, so we'll just have more explosions and we'll have more stuff like helicopters. Oh, we got Gabriel Byrne in. We got some more machine guns. Oh, great, guys. I think there's a way to do those kind of remakes and make it super gonzo mental, but this isn't that. Now, if the guys that made Crank made an Assault on Precinct 13 with $35 million, I'd watch that, and I would guarantee that would be a good fucking time. This is episode 70 of Diminishing Returns. If you want to tell us how you feel about these films, or just how you feel in general, you can contact us in a variety of modes. You can email us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can get us at diminishingpod. On Facebook, we are Diminishing Returns Podcast. And you can tag us and stuff on Facebook by putting at Diminishing Returns Pod. On Instagram, at Diminishing Pod, we have a blog, diminishingpod.wordpress.com. On YouTube, you can just search for Diminishing Returns and you'll probably find us. We're also on Spotify, so if you prefer to listen to your podcast on Spotify, you can listen to us on the same platform that pays Daft Punk like 12 pence a year, which would be great. Maybe we could be like the Daft Punk of podcasts.
Definitely need our faces hidden more often.
Yeah, we should be. I mean, we are an independent podcast, guys, so what I would ask of you is that if each listener here to think of one person that would enjoy this podcast. You must have a friend that likes cool movies and can handle a lot of dirty talk from me, mostly. Just think of one person and send them a link to the specific show, or like an episode you loved of the show, or you think that they would love. Send them a specific link, or when you're out with them, take their phone or iPad and put the show into their podcast catch or wherever they get it. For you, the regular listener, you're thinking, what can I do to help? You can rate and review us, 5 stars, don't be a cunt, on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. That really helps new people find the show. Thanks, guys. You know, there's a lot of discussion with these bad cops, right? There's witnesses in there, you know, we have to kill them. And the other guy's like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's almost like, oh, we setting this up to be, Jesus Christ, I know we've done bad things, but those are fellow officers in there. Those are some innocent people. And he's like, yeah, we know we're going to have to kill them. And the other guy's like, yeah, I thought that's where he's like already loading a gun and being like, yeah, just get the fucking helicopter in and fucking kill these cunts.
The central conceit is what is really troublesome, because in the first film, we have this sort of aimless street gang who have come across a cache of assault weapons and have taken a blood oath for revenge. Yeah, I get it. You're street trash. You're the street thunder. You are going to be out and just like, you know, fuck shit up. The police, I can't believe you have this endless squad of SWAT guys who are just happy to gun down innocent people.
But also, you know, it's not like, right, cover of darkness, keep it quiet. It's like fucking rocket launchers and I know it's fucking Hogmanay, right? I know it's New Year's Eve, but you know, somebody at some point might drive past and be like, boy, there's a rocket launcher getting thrown at that police station. That seems a bit out of sorts. It's just kind of dumb. Though there is some like brutal murder scene when they murder two women in the film, which I mean, I really like. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's at least some of the brutality we got from the first film.
But part of what makes that effective is that you've got an actor of the calibre of Maria Bello. So when she is just shot in the face by Gabriel Byrne, she really sells everything up until that moment.
Still took too long. It was at least cool. We were killing some motherfuckers. That's what I want out of films like this. Motherfuckers dying left, right, centre. If there had never been an Assault on Precinct 13 original, and you've came across this film some evening, if you watched it, you'd go, was that it? But I say, if they were like cops and they've got fucking bazookas and helicopters, then really go with that. Like, make it mental. Make it just this insane wall of fire. You know, it's you and a bunch of criminals having to fucking murder motherfuckers, improvise solutions. Nothing.
Yeah, the Home Alone aspect of it was really lacking. In the original, The Last Stand is really scrappy. I think between them, they've got 8 bullets left. You know, between the final 3, they've got 8 bullets left. So they pitch up for The Last Stand and they sort of make a sort of ad hoc shield. And they're down to now like melee weapons, cudgels. And there's a great bit where Lee is saying, I've got 2 bullets left. Should I just kill me and the catatonic father if they breach in here? And Wilson's like, no, shoot the first 2 dickheads that get in.
Yeah.
But it really feels they are like they've got so little left in the tank, but if they can just hang on, because we know cops are on the way to save them, if they can just hang on for these last few minutes, they could get out of it. Whereas The Last Stand in the remake doesn't have any of that tension. It doesn't have any of that.
It doesn't even happen in the fucking precinct. Like, they fuck off outside for a bit, and it's like, what's this film called? Assault on Woods
outside a precinct
that could be anywhere in the world. At least, okay, it wasn't Precinct 13, but at least it was a precinct in the original. And this is just like, yeah, we're just gonna fuck off for a bit and fucking go in the woods. And it's like, fuck you, man.
You know, so comparing which is a better cast, you know, Austin Stoker, Darwin Joston, Laurie Zimmer, Nancy Loomis, Tony Burton, Charles Cyphers, who like shows up in other John Carpenter films. There's a guy, Henry Brandon, in the original, who was in over 100 movies. He played Scar in The Searchers with John Wayne.
Oh, cool,
John
cool.
Wayne called him his favourite Indian. Caucasian actor, so clearly played Fu Manchu, played an African tribal chief in a Tarzan movie. Like, he was famous for playing non-European roles.
Brilliant, yeah.
But he was also in Babes in Toyland with Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, fucking hell, wow.
So anyway, we've got this cast in the original, largely unknowns and character actors in the first one.
Yeah.
In the remake, we've got Ethan Hawke, Dre D'Amato, Laurence Fishburne, Brian Dennehy, who we've not mentioned.
I was going to get into him.
We will have John Leguizamo, Maria Bello.
But I mean, I would say the only one that I would go, anyone that kind of could hold up even remotely, obviously, it's Big Larry Fishburne.
Yeah.
He's the fucking man. But everyone else, it's just like, yeah, I'm not interested in seeing you.
So cast to cast, clearly Assault 76 is the runaway winner.
And also, those people maybe aren't as good actors as the ones in the 2005.
Yeah.
But just they were perfectly cast for that film.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the man, the legend, right? He will always be a man that, if he needs to solve a crime, will go to a special effects house and solve murder by illusion. It's Brian Dennehy, right? And he must be a fair age now.
Well, I mean, in 2005, that was his last night in the job. He was retiring.
Yeah. I mean, it must be like we could look it up, but I'm not going to bother. But Brian Dennehy, man, right? Like, he's just one of those guys, like, you see him in a film, you're like, he's going to be fucking good, right? And in this film, he's doing his best, but the character's so obviously overdone. But my favourite thing about Brian Dennehy's character in this film is that basically, they're in the precinct. The first shots come out. They realise people are trying to shoot them. It's like, fuck, you know, everything, get down, get away, the windows, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then almost every scene afterwards, Brian Dennehy's standing in front of a window. Like, the director doesn't give a fuck, and Brian Dennehy's like, I'm going to stand where the fuck I want, pal. I would say 75% of his scenes are him standing in front of a window when there's meant to be snipers outside. Boo fucking Brian Dennehy away from a window, you cunt.
Yeah. No, I saw this movie in the cinema in 2005.
Sucks to be you.
And I wasn't fooled by the who's the mole inside the station at all, because the setup is that we've got our little ragtag bunch inside the station, the cops are outside, but there's sort of like seems to be things going on, doors are being unlocked, it shouldn't be unlocked. Is it clear to you that it was Jasper, the Brian Dennehy character, who was on the take for your watch of this? Because I presume this is the first time you've seen it.
And last.
Were you at all fooled?
But the thing is see, I don't know if he was on the take officially for the whole thing.
That's what the line when he says, you know, oh, I've just got news, it's my retirement soon. That was him being told, like, he'd gotten word from Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah,
you know.
But I mean, basically, it's not a bad idea, it's just badly done. Yeah, you know, he basically sort of unlocks a door. Again, this is so dumb.
And leads them out of that tunnel that he's just found, right into the awaiting jaws of the Gabriel Byrne trap.
You know, I don't know. I just fucking... It's just an illusion. If you haven't seen FX and FX2...
They're films I'd like to do for here.
Well, I was going to say, can somebody else watch them and tell me if they still hold up? Because I loved them as a kid, but I'm sure they're terrible.
I just think now that we're sort of like well beyond the age of practical effects, I think they would be fun to look back on now.
Listeners, you've heard the man. We might end up doing FX and FX2. Let us know if that's a good idea.
So the whole Brian Dennehy thing is another addition to this film that, frankly, we didn't really need.
Yeah, I mean, when they reveal that, they've been let down by somebody, if you're doing that in a film, when that reveal happens that somebody's inside is kind of helping them outside, it should be like, what the fuck, and a real betrayal. Whereas when I did in this film, I went, okay, cool. I can get over poor plotting, I can get over not great acting, I can get over characters that I don't care about, if you're going to make an action film that it's just like super crazy fucking cool. And instead it's just like,
yeah, CGI blood spots, I can do without it. One of the things I loved in the original Assault is the blood squibs.
Yeah.
It's really effective.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant effect, and it's something that I really miss in movies. Now, for action movies, there's less and less blood squibs now. I want more practical special effects. I want blood squibs. I want blood packs.
I don't know. See, after this conversation, man, I wouldn't be surprised if you left your wife for a squib. Like, if your wife listens to this, man, she's going to be like, are you fucking around me with a fucking blood squib?
You do know that in Harry Potter, squibs are people born into magical families that have no magical powers. They're called squibs.
Oh boy, Jesus fucking Christ, he's telling me about Harry fucking Potter now. Guys, he's like in his 40s and he's fucking telling me about Harry Potter trivia. What the fuck, man?
So we're talking about the cast, and to use that hoary old cliche, the characters in the first film are great, but there's a character we've not spoken about, and that's his soundtrack.
Oh, nice.
The music in the first film is brilliant. Again, it speaks to them having no money. They don't have money, they can't get an orchestra in, they can't get a band in, so John Carpenter goes to see his pal at the university. They set up some analog synths and John Carpenter plays the music because he's not doing enough on this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's just like, I'll write the soundtrack
also
as well.
on the craft service table.
Yeah, records the soundtrack in 2 days on analog synths, and it's that weird, like, electronic-y, propulsive.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like it really pushes things along and really ratchets more tension.
What's great about it is that, again, necessity is the mother of invention. But now, bigger budget films are like, we should have a cool lo-fi synthy score.
We should
because we love John Carpenter. Yeah, he's great. We're big fans of John Carpenter here. I'm also a big fan of whatever that French guy's fucking name was. No, of course I'm not. 2005 director, went on to direct anything else. Would the French guy direct anything?
What's that 2-part Vincent Cassel crime drama? Is it Mesrin?
Oh, I've heard about that.
About the sort of, weirdly about the French crime boss. So, you know, obviously stayed in that milieu. Well, my friends and I went to see, we thought the first part and didn't know what the fuck was going on. It turned out we'd gone to see part 2 instead.
I think I might have seen the first part of that. And it was quite good.
Okay, well,
so between us...
I mean, the second part was confusing as fuck, but clearly because we didn't know anybody and it was in French. But it was...
and he's like in a jail in the first one, I think, and he escapes.
Yeah.
I have seen that film.
Okay.
Is that the guy that made that film?
This is
actually
Jean-François Richet, yeah.
You know, French guy whose name I'm not going to fucking learn. I've maybe been a little bit harsh.
But I found it interesting that it was a European response, particularly after its debut at the Edinburgh Film Festival, that Assault on Precinct 13 really got its audience.
The original.
The original, yeah. But it is interesting that the studio that remake it in 2005 get a European director in to helm it.
You know how I feel? Brexit means Brexit. And that's why French guy that remade Assault on Precinct 13 will not be welcome here. And that's a shame because evidently I've just found out, I think, if I remember correctly, I might have quite liked bits of one of his other films.
Yeah. Damned with faint praise.
We're also losing spunk. Have I told you about this?
No.
Supposedly like 80% or something of sperm bank jizz is from the EU. The biggest donor being Denmark of all places.
Right, okay.
And I think it's the same with like eggs and stuff for IVF.
Okay.
So we're actually going to lose out on spunk if there's a no deal Brexit.
Wow.
I am willing. I'm putting this on the record. I love my country. I am willing that if you want to just hire me full time to fill that up, guys. It might take a good few weeks to get up production production. I need a few naps and some orange juices in between every one. But hey, taking our country back, mate. One wank at a time. I saw On Precinct 13. Anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about jerking it some more?
No. Is there anything for you that the remake does better than the original?
Nah.
No, nothing.
I mean, I quite like the kind of, is there a rat, or the idea of that.
The possibility that could have been handled properly.
But yeah, they fucked it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's like the worst film ever. It's just like a 6 out of 10. Maybe even a 5.
I mean, the only thing for me that I like is that it's set with a snowy backdrop. But I think just movies in snow look great. They have to work hard in the first film to make the sunny, palm tree lined Los Angeles look isolated and terrible. You know, that police station's beautiful. That Art Deco building is totally amazing. It's now an arts resource centre.
So like it's probably like now an assault on the bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
Right, guys? It's just like,
Yeah.
guys, look at this. This is a sculpture that's all about white power structures and man's inhumanity, man.
Yeah, I mean, I did think the first one had hints of the white flight. People have left this area of LA, gangs have taken over, and it's just become this like urban wasteland. And there's
Urban wasteland, bam, bam. Does that play into this at all?
and then we've got the black cop, you know, who was brought up in that area, returning to that
Which
area.
is a lovely little
It's
touch.
a nice little bit. But yeah, apart from the snow, there's not really anything in the second film that I would say is done better. You know, the music is a much more conventional film score by Graham Revile, who's a talented composer. But
What else has he done? Why is he talented? Will you tell me?
embarrassingly, the only one that the Craft is the only one I can remember at the moment.
Oh, boy.
But
Speaking of guys from the
Red
90s.
Planet or Mission to Mars or whatever.
Fucking like the ginger Ethan Hawke here.
But Graham Revile just does nothing memorable on that score. I love The Craft. To wait 30 years and remake an amazing movie like I saw in Precinct 13, I can see the logic in it. A kind of fringy cult film. John Carpenter now has gone on to really become like this master of suspense, and you can see that the original Assault, while he's talking about pulling from Western tradition and it's meant to be like essentially a Western but in contemporary LA, it feels a bit like a horror film. Everything builds up. I can see the logic of someone going, well, let's buy the rights and remake it. But apart from flipping it to be the cops are the guys that are encircling the police station, which seems ludicrous when you burrow into that idea, but they're not taking it anywhere. Assault on Precinct 13 really hints at where John Carpenter's going. You know, like Napoleon Wilson is clearly going to be played by Kurt Russell or Rowdy Roddy Piper and everything going forward.
Yeah,
That's that guy.
The bad guy, but you know, he's also got a heart of gold.
A heart of gold. And the only thing that we've not spoken about that I'd like to maybe go out on here is that Kim Richards, who played the little girl who gets shot at the ice cream van, she was a child actor, worked with Disney, like Escape from Witch Mountain.
Oh, okay.
So a massive body of film work by the time that she was 12 when she appeared in Assault on Precinct 13. She has obviously grown into adulthood, retired from acting. She's now a real housewife of Beverly Hills.
What?
And and Nikki and Paris Hilton are her nieces. So
Wow.
if you need to see where the slaying ice cream girl is, tune into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Wow. I mean, I won't because that show sounds like fucking garbage, but that's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to say that Laurence Fishburne is the fucking bomb.
Yeah.
And you should see him in Hannibal. And the Ethan Hawke, like, I feel like I was maybe a bit down on him at the start because he is just super 90s.
He's having a bit of a renaissance with Paul Schrader, it would appear. I mean, they're
But
talking
he's a
about
good-
making
he's a-
a Western now.
He's a good actor, but I can't see. There you go. I'm not going to be able to buy him in a Western unless he's got a Walkman and he's listening to fucking Soul Asylum.
The Gigolo Ants.
I quite like Ethan
I
Hawke.
mean, he's in The Purge, and the first Purge is essentially the same plot as Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
You know, they harbour someone inside the safe haven, and then there's just like wave after wave people trying to get in
and he's
to
good
the
in
safe
that.
haven.
I felt I was too harsh on Ethan Hawke.
Right.
But I think like I don't want to feel like I'm too down on him for being like a 90s guy whose best years are behind him, because that's you, Alan.
That's me.
And I think you're all right as well, mate. So that's fine. Guys, that was Assault on Precinct 13. Watch one of those fucking films. Bye!
It makes me go, guns are bad, because that's what it does to people.
Let me be fucking clear. Guns are fucking cool. Guns do damage. Guns kill people. Guns fucking do irrevocable damage to society. You shouldn't be allowed to own guns. Guns should be controlled and restricted, but they're cool. Pew, 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 pew. I'm for gun control, but don't tell me they're not cool. Don't tell me guns aren't fucking sweet as. Have you ever shot a gun? It's fucking awesome. They make bang bang and
Make
you feel powerful. Yeah, I got a stunner. I got a fucking... Like, I was just like, man, I've got an erection, doesn't quit.